Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Winning with Walmart Wednesday. Today, I have a really special episode for you. I'm really excited. A lot of you have been anticipating this and are really excited to join us on this one, and it's pay-per-click advertising for Walmart. I actually have a special guest that I'll bring on later. But just if you have questions about Walmart pay-per-click advertising, you can put them in the comments below, and we'll try to answer them. But before we get into that, I wanted to also remind you guys that we are doing Sell and Scale Summit in September, which is a live conference for Amazon and Walmart. Walmart is actually the main sponsor. So if you have questions that you want to ask directly, or if you have account issues, you should go to this conference so that you can get everything answered that you need answered or get some help and assistance with your account. So definitely check out sellandscalesummit.com and you can register there, and you definitely won't want to miss out because we have a ton of Walmart content as well that you definitely will want to hear, especially because I know there was a lot of interest in this PPC content. So definitely get registered for that. But I'd also like to go ahead and just start and bring on Wes Ryan. He's from Pacvue. Welcome, Wes. Thanks so much for joining.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me.
He is a customer success manager at Pacvue, and he is their Walmart PPC guru. He's going to start out with some tips for you for PPC, and then there were a lot of questions that were submitted, so he's actually covering all of those questions. And if you do have questions, make sure to put them in the chat while we go. But I'll go ahead and let you take it from here, Wes, if you want to go ahead and I think share your screen. You've got a little presentation, a lot of great stuff prepared for everyone.
There we go. I was waiting for it to come up. Thank you for that introduction, Carrie. It's great to be here, and I wanted to share some tips and tricks with you. These are going to be more centered on beginning advertisers and maybe advertisers who have just launched, but they're kind of figuring out what their next steps are. So with that said, I'll start with the first thing I'd like to point out, which is a major change to the way Walmart has structured their ad serving criteria. Previously, they had what's called a first price auction model. This was different from Amazon and Google in the sense that if you were to bid a full dollar on a keyword, Walmart would take every penny of that dollar if you won the auction. Now they're behaving a lot more like Amazon and like Google, where they're only going to charge you just a tiny bit more than the second price. So if somebody bid 50 cents, you'd only need to pay 51 cents, even if your bid was all the way up to $1. So what that really means is you could bid as high as $4 and only actually pay a fraction of that. An interesting thing takes place, though. Because of all of this, we've seen a wholesale reduction in cost per click. So it's a great time to get started on Walmart right now. It's a great time to be doing keyword research and maybe revisiting keywords that were too expensive before, because now they've really allowed the search results to diversify with different advertisers, and it made it a lot more accessible. Definitely happy to take any questions on that. We've seen lots of changes take place, and it's really an exciting time.
I definitely saw, because you were helping me with my pay-per-click advertising, a reduction in the cost because I was paying way higher for some keywords that are definitely not, I was bidding $1 on some that were really only worth 35 cents or something like that. So yeah, it definitely is a lot less expensive now for sure.
And that's a great point, because with this model, it's going to allow advertisers to activate much quicker. Previously, I imagine that a lot of advertisers take a very incremental approach to sort of figuring out what's that bid where I have diminishing returns, where's the tipping point. So now they'll be able to kind of start with their max bid and only pay that much or less, as opposed to that much or more.
Yeah. And you can get the top of the search, because that was not available before as well. That's a recent thing, because I was also, trying to get into the top 128, and it was really difficult because I wasn't ranking. So you can't really advertise, or you wouldn't be able to advertise, but now you can get all the way to the top for, cheap for a lot of these keywords.
Definitely. And, I think that there's so many things taking place. Walmart has really kind of expanded their keyword ecosystem. We're seeing more long tail keywords actually returning data, as opposed to everything just rolling up into these broad terms. This is reflected in the shopper behavior as well. We're seeing shoppers actually type in longer tail search terms. So just a lot of different balls in the air, but we're capturing this data and definitely tracking to help our clients strategize. That brings me to just what we were referring to, the long tail keyword trends. Because Walmart has updated their search criteria, we're seeing a shift in the items that actually appear in the search results. So I put together this really cheesy little illustration to kind of demonstrate that. But before, Walmart seemed to take search terms very literally. So if you were to type in chicken, you were going to get a lot of search results that were literally chicken. And now we're seeing different types of items that are closely related to chicken actually showing up and being able to compete in that search result. So definitely a great opportunity for new items that are entering the market, or new items that perhaps exist between categories, of which there are quite a few. So you don't really have to have just a single broad keyword. Now you can really expand your target list. And mentioning about shopper behaviors, so we have seen an uptick in the amount of searches that are done for long tail keywords, and we're seeing an increase in the conversion rates for those keywords. I believe that the new ad serving criteria is influencing this, because they see more diverse products in the search results. They're going to say, that's not exactly what I was looking for. I'm going to be more specific this time. And so they'll enter in a more specific keyword, a longer tail keyword. And that's where you have an opportunity. If the broad keyword is out of reach for you, you can focus on these longer tail keywords that are usually secondary searches with really great results. The next thing I wanted to cover is something that I call the CPC trap. A lot of times, as new advertisers are learning about the bid ecosystem, and they're understanding, okay, the relationship between the amount that I bid and my return on ad spend, they tend to notice that when their bid goes up, their ROAS goes down. But I wanted to point out a scenario where this is not the case. Because if you can imagine, there are leagues or levels to your bid. When you bid a certain amount, you might land on page 3, and the data that you're getting back is happening in that environment. If you were to increase your bid a little bit, you could still be on that page, but you would see your performance decrease. But what if you were to double or triple your bid? That could get you out of that page completely and into the next page, or even the top page. That's where we see the shopper behavior start to change. So we have an external force on the ad itself that's improving the performance. So it's contradictory to that relationship between bid and ROAS, but we do actually see where if you triple or you double your bid, you can wind up at the top of search and have a much higher ROAS as a result of that, because of that increased visibility, the increased click-through rate, and the increased conversion rate. So just something I wanted to kind of throw out there as kind of a thought experiment.
And you're still not paying that full price though, right? Because it's just,
right. That's a great point. So if you are kind of in that league or in that page 3 area, you're really competing with the items that are next to you. So in order to go to the next page, you might think in terms of, okay, what's the bid level or the bid range for competing in that arena? So the easy way out would just be bid $4 and see where you end up, or bid $10 even. Of course, if it winds up costing that much, then you might regret actually bidding that much. So we still advise somewhat incrementality there, just so that you're not going way overboard.
Okay.
All right. So at the beginning, I see this quite a lot. Is what I hear is we're going to launch a campaign with just 1 or 2 of our lowest performing items because we want to test the waters. And the thinking is understandable. I mean, they're thinking that if I take this underperforming item and I put it in this campaign and it's successful, then I know all of my other items are going to be successful too. Um, but we actually see kind of that can backfire because if it's a low item to begin with, it's not really going to be collecting clicks. It's not going to be meeting that relevancy criteria for Walmart to show up high in search. And because the data is so limited, you're going to be unable to really make an informed decision based on what to do with that campaign or whether to apply it to other items. So what I really encourage is to expand out the test so that you actually see a pattern in the data. You see the picture of what's happening for advertising on that item. And then you can take those learnings, which are high quality learnings, and apply it to your lower performing items to get similar results. So just a little bit of a pushback on a common ideology for testing campaigns. Definitely test with your best SKUs. If they are returning data back, that's high quality data, and that's worth much more as a test campaign. Even if you're still learning, even if you haven't quite optimized fully yet, the data itself is still extremely valuable. I hope everybody likes my bitmap smiley face there. Okay, looks like that covers it for some general recommendations. I'm totally full of them, but I got to keep an eye on time today, and I lost a minute or two dropping out. So we'll move on to questions if that's all right. Carrie, did you want me to just go right into these?
Yeah, I can ask them, and then maybe you can just respond. That way we can.
Yeah. Okay.
And so we basically took a bunch of questions that everybody submitted to me via Messenger or wherever they submitted them, and we put them in here. Some might be rephrased, but definitely we covered everything that was asked. So first question is, how do you find keywords that are clicked and see the conversions for all keywords?
So that's a great question. Pacvue offers both a search term and keyword panel where we show you every metric you can think of: click-through rate, clicks, sale units, ACoS, ROAS, et cetera, as well as trend charts over time for each individual keyword. On Walmart, you can see this on a keyword level, but you're not getting nearly as granular data. So in the Walmart console, we really just take it way further. We give you a lot more context behind what's happening with that keyword.
Yeah, it's definitely helpful to have Pacvue because I was confused about that too. Is like, what am I converting for here? This doesn't make any sense. So it's definitely a lot easier to see on Pacvue. The next question is there an add negative keyword section in the campaigns?
I really wish there was. That's the number one request that we hear. Unfortunately, this has to be available in the Walmart API before we can implement it as a feature at Pacvue. So as far as I know, there's not negative keyword targeting on Walmart. Rather, what we recommend is refining your campaign over time and moving your spend towards exact match keywords, and basically working backwards from broad to narrow. So in effect, you're creating a negative keyword by only having positive keywords that are exact match.
All right, so let's go to the next page. Questions. Can we do bulk file to easily optimize the bids and adjust the budget?
Definitely. That's one of the most overlooked features in Pacvue, in my opinion. Lots of people just love to be in the dashboard. They love to see the data populate. But we do actually have a downloadable Excel file that can be either a template where it starts blank and you just type in your item numbers, your keywords, and then the bid amounts. You can also enter in your budget, your daily budget, your date range, etc. And we also offer a snapshot of your entire account so that you can take the data as is, make adjustments to it on the spreadsheet, and then re-upload that. So if you wanted to take that offsite and internalize it as a process, maybe you have a really fancy spreadsheet that you use to predict optimizations. That's definitely something that you could use to implement changes in bulk.
Now, can you do that on Walmart Connect, or is it only available on Pacvue?
I think that there is something that you can upload on Walmart Connect, but I'm not sure.
I haven't
I don't
seen
really
it.
know what it looks like.
Yeah. Okay. What best practices do you recommend by using both campaigns at the same time?
Um, First of all, do this. So I see a lot that are running only auto bid and a lot that are only running manual. It's not an either or proposition. They are both good for different things. There's some overlap, of course, but there's also parts of that that don't overlap that are really valuable. Um, it really also depends on the item itself. So if this is a type of item that is going to be more appealing to impulse shoppers, then you might see it perform better in auto bid campaigns. If it's going to be more attractive to shoppers that do careful research and they type in something very specific, then you might see it perform better on manual campaigns. But my general recommendation is leverage both. They're available to you. It's practically leaving money on the table.
All right, let's go to the next page here. Best practices when bidding percent on search and grid, uh, box, desktop, etc.
Oh, yeah, I didn't correct that. Let me fix
Yeah,
so nobody gets confused.
buy box. That's it. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Okay, so this is actually kind of a contentious subject because there are people who make a 1 or 2% adjustment to the placement modifier or the platform modifier. My general approach is to only have one or the other for your manual or your auto campaigns. And what we found is that manual campaigns tend to focus very heavily on search. So in a way, your placement is already kind of determined. It can show up in other places, of course, but something like 80% of the placement is going to be in search. So that bill is already written, and really the best approach there would be to place a multiplier on the platform for manual campaigns. Um, Again, just my opinion. You're going to hear a lot of different opinions on that. Um, for auto bid, it's the exact opposite. So, it should have placement multipliers, but not necessarily platform multipliers. I could go on all day about that one, but one of the reasons why I suggest that is because the way that multipliers are compounded when you have a cross section. So suppose that you have an item that is um, has a 20% multiplier on search and a 20% multiplier on desktop. What happens is your bid is multiplied by 20, and then that sum is added to your bid times 20 again, 20% again, and then those two sums are added together. So what you end up with is more than double the original bid. That can be way overboard depending on the situation. But in my opinion, it's a little easier to make adjustments when you're not having to deal with that compounding factor.
All right. Is there a place to see a list of allowable keywords?
That's an easy one. Pacvue and especially Helium 10 are the best in the industry in terms of keyword data. If you're not getting impressions, and this was actually related to a question about keywords not showing data, but if you're not getting impressions on that, the main culprits are bid strength and relevance. Sorry, I should have structured that question a little better. Um, so
And I can add something to that. If you want to check your product type too. If you're in the wrong product type, you're not going to show up for the keywords that you want to see. So if you go to the growth opportunities tab on Walmart Seller Center, you can check and make sure that your product type is correct. You can look at your competitors on their actual listing. You can see what kind of categories and product types they're in. So if you don't have the right product type, you can write in a ticket and they can get you in. That's probably that could be part of it if you're not showing up at all. In addition to that, I don't know if you remember, but I did some keyword research on Helium 10 for a manual campaign, and that one did really, really well because the keywords were spot on for just from Helium 10. So definitely use Helium 10, Cerebro, and Magnet to find some really good keywords. All right, let's go to the next one. Is there a way to see a search terms report in Walmart?
So Pacvue offers a search term report that reflects the literal search query. I am actually unsure if you can see this in Walmart. I know that you can see keywords and item performance. What we are able to do is with our API connection, we can actually look behind the curtain of your auto bid campaigns and see what is being served against search terms that people literally type into the search bar. So a huge harvesting opportunity, finding new opportunities for your keyword targets in manual campaigns. But as a bonus, we actually offer what's called an item keyword query view. And this provides three different vectors for how an ad was served: the item that appeared for the ad, the search query that was typed in, and then the keyword that it matched to. What makes this really interesting, and I know all the pivot table people are just like freaking out right now because they would be able to actually drill down into what keywords we're serving against what items, or rather, what items we're serving against what keywords, down to that search term view. Very, very valuable.
There are some basic search term reports I think you can download in Walmart Connect, but they're not the same. And I've had a hard time finding them usually. So I'm sure that's why people are asking that question. So
yeah, the search term report is like one of the main tabs in the Pacvue dashboard. So really easy to find and navigate to.
yeah. All right, let's go to the next question here. Is there a place to see a list of allowable keywords?
Oh, sorry, this is a duplicate.
Oh, yeah, that is a.
There we go.
Walmart ads report seems to only report 5 bidded keywords. Does Walmart limit us to 5 keywords per campaign or ad group? I've tried exporting the data as well, but it's odd that there are 5 keywords per campaign.
So I actually had to do a little bit of head scratching on this. I did look up the guidelines from Walmart on their advertising portal. So you can technically add up to 1,000 keywords to an ad group. So there's no limit, virtually no limit on the number of targets. If you are seeing reports or data coming back where only 5 keywords have data, it could be that it's only those keywords that your items are populating on. This is actually not all that uncommon. If you think about the 80-20 rule, 20% of the keywords are going to be earn 80% of your impressions. So, that would mean that you had 25 keywords on your list, but only 5 were actually generating impressions. Now, you could have 1,000, but oftentimes what we see is search terms are being rolled up into broader terms, and so it's not all that uncommon. If that does not satisfy the question, then and it seems to check every other box, I might suggest just reaching out to Walmart and requesting support on that. It is not impossible for an item to be miscategorized or what's the word I'm looking, unindexed for a keyword. So that could be something that they look at on the back end and say, oh, this is an orphaned item. It needs to be added into this criteria or keyword family.
And it's not too much different from Amazon because I know, in our Freedom Ticket, even they say to even just do 5 to 10 keywords per campaign, just for the same reason, is that just for some reason, not all the keywords get served on the campaign. They kind of somehow calculate what should be served. And so that's the reason why maybe 5 to 10 per campaign is a better strategy so that you do show up on more placements. All right, let's go to the last slide here. I think we're about done.
One more.
Yeah, so this is a good one. How can Pacvue help? So definitely, there's a lot of features that are available through Pacvue that are not available on your Walmart Connect platform. So if you are interested in a better reporting and just a deeper dive and more success on your pay-per-click campaigns, the majority of the successful pay-per-click advertisers I've talked to use Pacvue. So if you want to maybe you can go into some details of things that are featured on Pacvue that a lot of people like.
Yeah, so a couple of my favorites are going to be the rules, the bidding rules. This is one of those things where you can start really small and then build it up and add complexity to it over time. Once we set up a rule, it can be edited, tweaked, it can be cloned, and then built upon that. So there's a lot of world building when it comes to rules, and I think it's one of those things that lends itself to both beginners and advanced users. So definitely something I always talk about, and when I first onboard new advertisers. Day parting is another thing that we actually just revamped this. So we offer something that looks like a heat map that is similar to what we do for Amazon. That this can show you hour by hour performance and make optimizations down to the hour for automatically. So really a really powerful like one-click optimization. That's great for campaigns that have already got a little bit of road underway, but you're looking for a next step. I could go on and on, but budget manager is another really important one. So especially with new advertisers, we see that controlling budget is critical. Oftentimes they have a test budget that they can experiment with, but obviously it would be bad news if they went over that budget for whatever reason. Our budget manager has quite a few different bells and whistles in place that will protect you from going over your allocated spend. Definitely something I suggest for new advertisers. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and just the reporting in general, I think is really helpful because it's very hard to find on the Ad Connect platform, and it's just a lot easier to do on Pacvue. We do have a question, and I don't know if this maybe is, there's different ranges, but this is how much is Pacvue per month for Walmart?
So we have a fee per month. Now I know that there's a flat fee if a minimum spend threshold is not met. That just covers the cost of the tool. But at a certain point, percentage kicks in. I think that you could expect to spend $500 a month for the first couple of months until you go past that spend threshold. That would kick in the minimum percentage. I hope that made sense.
Yeah, I think we're gonna try to get some, things to going for Helium 10 users. So if you're a Helium 10 user, we might be able to work some things through. So we're working on the pricing that way. But I think as of right now, it's 500 a month. So and it depends on spend, and yeah, we'll work on some different specials for everyone so they can start using Pacvue. If someone is interested in starting with Pacvue, where should they go to sign up? Should they just go to pacvue.com, or what's the best way?
Definitely.com. You can also reach out to me, and I can put you in touch with with one of our awesome sales reps. They'll be able to provide you with an actual eyes-on demo so that you can see the platform in action. I would suggest going to pacvue.com or visit us on LinkedIn. Look up Pacvue on LinkedIn and connect with one of our many very talented sales agents.
All right. And we do actually have some questions. With bid multiplier on manual campaigns, what percentage is a good practice when bidding on platform? And would you pick one of the three or bid on all three at the same time with auto? Same question, but with placement.
That's a great question. So, generally I don't apply multipliers until I have seen the data for placement and platform. So if I'm seeing anything that indicates I could move the needle with a multiplier, that's what's going to make that decision for me. It's not all that uncommon to have very close together ROAS for, say, search and item page, but then you see browse might have triple ROAS. So maybe I only want to place a multiplier on that one placement. I would definitely let the data guide you on that. In Pacvue, we can show you that placement performance and that platform performance as well. So that helps you make those decisions. With auto, same answer.
And then another question: do we manage the platform, or do you have a done for you system?
We do have a done for you system. It's our SaaS Plus model, and I'm not as familiar with the pricing on that, but there are some thresholds. But definitely connect with us, and we can explore whether that's an option.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. I think this was helpful, and hopefully it was helpful answering all those questions for a lot of the people out in the audience. And yeah, so thanks again for joining, and I hope everyone has a great day. Remember, everyone, to sign up for Sell and Scale. I think Pacvue might be there. I'm not sure for sure, but I think they might be there, and that Walmart's going to be there for sure. So if you want to get your questions answered, definitely join us at Sell and Scale Summit. It's going to be a really informative time. So thanks again, Wes, for putting that presentation together and just for all that great information. I appreciate you joining and spending time with us today. Thanks, everyone. Bye.